And Senator Stone, you'll be right afterwards.
Madam Chair, members, SB 224 regards the elderly parole program. Last year, the governor created the elderly parole program in partial response to the order issued by the three-judge panel in the Plata-Coleman versus Brown. The program allows inmates who are 60 years and older and have served 25 years on their current sentences to be considered for parole. However, this program is currently not codified in state statute and could be eliminated any time at the discretion of the governor and CDCR. SB 224 will do two things: codify the existing program and expand the eligibility for the program to inmates 50 years and older and who have served 15 years on their current sentence. The human and financial costs of incarcerating the elderly are astronomical. Healthcare treatment comprises the second largest area of prison spending in our state, approximately 30%. Costs associated with providing medical care and treatment accelerates as prisoners age. Millions of dollars in medical and incarceration costs could be saved each year by releasing elderly prisoners who pose no threat to society. Research has shown that elderly inmates who are ages 50 years and older generally have lower recidivism rates compared to other age cohorts. Elderly prisoners often age out of their propensity for crime during their incarceration because they are mature and adopt more positive behaviors. At the same time, however, it is likely that their health has declined, often to an acute or a fatal condition. Continuing the path of incarcerating frail, elderly individuals is unsustainable, and SB 224 will generate increased savings for California and its taxpayers by reducing the financial burdens associated with caring for such prisoners. This bill also creates opportunities for the elderly who are no longer deemed public safety risks to reunite with their families sooner and contribute positively to society once released. I have witnesses in support: Shamika Wilson, Legal Services for Prisoners with Children, and Vanessa Nelson, Life Support Alliance. And I ask for your support on the bill.
Thank you.
Good morning, Senators. Vanessa Nelson Sloan, Director of Life Support Alliance. We're a nonprofit advocate for life-term prisoners and their families. I'm here today to express the strong support of our members and constituents for this bill. By the end of this decade, CDCR estimates that there will be possibly in excess of 30,000 people incarcerated that are over the age of 50 years. Each elder parole or each elder inmate can cost the taxpayers as much as $150,000 per year to incarcerate. Well-documented studies show us that the risk of recidivism decreases as one ages and also with the length of time in prison. This bill targets the lowest risk of recidivism cohort. It also addresses provisions that would provide reunitement for families and assist them in providing their previously incarcerated loved ones with assistance in getting benefits that they are due. The provisions of elderly parole do not abandon or impinge on any requirement for parole and allow parole commissioners to remain the ultimate deciders of suitability. As someone who attends many parole hearings every year, I can tell you the commissioners are not an easy sell. The Board of Parole Hearings has also, in a sua sponte effort, promulgated an elderly parole process. And again, we would like to see this codified to extend this consideration to the ever-increasing number of elder inmates who will be with us in future years. This actually follows the best practices of the Department of Corrections in providing for public safety in the most fiscal and logical manner possible. We urge your passage of SB 224. It's an action that will contribute to a durable and sustainable solution to relieving California from federal oversight. Thank you.
Thank you. Others in support?
Yes, my name is Shamika Wilson, with supporters behind me that in their absence from Sins Invalid, Crip Hop Nation Worldwide, Poor Magazine, as well as San Francisco Bay Newspaper. I wanted to talk to you today about my family. And it starts with cycles. My father didn't have his father. My grandfather didn't have his father. I didn't have my father. And now my children are doomed to repeat the same fate, to live without their father. It's important because for so many fatherless homes, there could be better outcomes. As I stand here, striving to break cycles, taking my children out of toxic environments, trying to get higher education, and trying to keep them on the straight and narrow, it's hard for the children to be without a father, as well as me to be without a husband, for I cannot teach my son how to be a man, nor my daughter how to be loved by one. In this incarceration state, we provide broken families and broken homes where the sentence far exceeds the crime. The cycle will continue to be a never-ending cycle where families and children cannot grow to their maximum potential for lack of stable, loving family units. So as I stand here as a wife, a mother, a student, and an advocate of ending the cycle and bringing elder loved ones home, I encourage you to support this bill. My husband was 23 when he was sentenced as a first-time offender to 25 to life with the possibility of parole for being in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong people. Now at the age of 53 and suffering from poor health, 3 bouts of thyroid cancer, COPD, a nerve-ending disease, ankylosing spondylitis, and also a fused vertebrae due to an iron bunk bed, prison bunk bed, falling and hitting him in the head, fracturing his C4 vertebrae. He has limited motion and is dependent upon a wheelchair. What threat to public safety can he possibly pose? At the age of 53, is totally different maturity than the age of 23. He is by far not the same man. We have lost family, we have gained family, some whom he has never even met. And for this, I believe it's time for him to come home and take his place in the family, to end the cycle and be a part of something more extraordinary than the portion of our lives that's lost through this incarceration. And that something is the future, and the future is the future that is the greatness of our children.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Others in support? And again, there's no opposition to the bill that we know of now, so just me too.
I'm Andrea Richardson with Legal Services for Prisoners with Children. We're a co-sponsor of this bill.
Thank you.
Natasha Minsker, ACLU of California, in support.
Lizzie Beacon with the Center on Juvenile and Criminal Justice in support.
Melinda Blake, Californians for Safety and Justice in support.
Jim Lindberg on behalf of the Friends Committee on Legislation of California in support, and Becca Gonzalez asked me to voice support for the California chapter of the National Association for Social Workers. Thank you.
Misty Rojo, Justice Now in support.
Salima Hankins, Dignity and Power Now in support.
Zainab Mohammed, Ella Baker Center for Human Rights in support.
Jerry Oster, American Friends Service Committee in support.
Khalif Asagai, California Public Defenders Association in support.
Pete Wywitty, California Partnership Statewide Coalition of Anti-Poverty Organizations in support.
Obie Anthony with the Hernandez Strategy Group and Innocent Project in support.
Diana Zuniga, Californians United for a Responsible Budget in support.
Oh, we do have opposition.
Marie Levin, California Families Against Solitary Confinement, CFAS, and Prisoner Hunger Strike Solidarity Coalition, PHSS. Thank you.
Thank you.
Strong support.
Pete Wywitty again on behalf of Senior Disability Action and the California Alliance for Retired Americans in support.
Thank you. Support?
Opposition.
Okay, those in opposition, please come forward.
Madam Chair, members, Corey Salzillo on behalf of the California State Sheriff's Association, here in opposition to the bill. State prison population has already shrunk beneath the 137.5% of design capacity threshold well in advance of the February 2016 benchmark set by the federal court. As such, we're concerned about the public safety implications of this codification. The data in your own analysis shows that the drop-off in criminality is at age 60 and not 50, which comports with the program that the governor has put into place in conjunction with the court order. We're talking about applying this program to murderers and other criminals who's potentially deserve continued incarceration. We're talking about people here who could have committed their crime in their mid-30s and have served 15 years and now would be eligible simply by virtue of the fact that they've achieved the age of 50. We're not necessarily talking about immature people at the time of their crimes, and we're not talking about people who have necessarily been punished for the criminality that they have done, notwithstanding the fact that they may have served what some determine to be a long enough period of time. We feel the bill violates 3 strikes and should probably be a 2/3 vote or go back to the voters. It certainly violates the spirit of truth in sentencing by creating the possibility of dramatically reducing time served for offenders with long sentences that were lawfully delivered in consideration of the severity of their crimes. So for this reason, we ask for no vote.
Thank you.
Marty Varanakar, Madam Chair, and members, on behalf of the California District Attorneys Association, I want to echo my colleagues' comments here in opposition. I just want to add one item. The recent amendments to the bill are also troubling. They dropped the requirement for the inmate to have a reentry plan, which would specify his or her residential, financial, and social integration plans upon release. If we're going to send these felons whose crimes could include first-degree murder with a firearm or a serious sex offense back into the community at age 50, having served only 15 years, shouldn't we require some sort of support plan before these individuals are released? At those relatively young years, Social Security benefits and Medi-Cal will not be available to them until certainly much later. For these reasons and others, as indicated by my colleague, we are opposed to this measure. Thank you.
Ruann Dozier, Sacramento County District Attorney's Office, on behalf of Anne Marie Schubert. I just want to give you an example of a case of a man who would be eligible under this program. I prosecuted this man, Joe McCoy, 3 years ago for torturing, sexually assaulting, and actually causing his girlfriend during the assault to become a paraplegic. He did that at 50 years old. He was sentenced to 25 years to life. He is an alcoholic. He has no family support whatsoever. The victim in this case, Cindy Hammond, eventually died as a result of complications from paraplegia. For him to be eligible after serving only 15 years would be a travesty and would not serve Cindy Hammond any justice. So we ask that we are in opposition, and we ask for no votes on this.
Others in opposition? Okay, seeing and hearing none, are there, Senator Stone? I just had a brief question. Well, to the sheriffs, would you support this bill at age 60, which is what the court ordered?
We would certainly consider it. We didn't take a position on that bill. We would take a look at it, but certainly seems more palatable than going to 50 and 15 based on very little.
Okay, thank you. Senator Stone.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our district attorney's representative, sir, are you an attorney yourself?
Yes, I am, sir.
Okay, former DA or?
Former,
okay.
Yes.
If this bill were to become law, would it be possible for the likes of Charles Manson and Sirhan Sirhan to be freed?
No.
Those individuals are probably sentenced under, I think those individuals were sentenced to life without parole.
Right.
And those individuals probably would not have been eligible for this program.
Okay. But it is your argument that people that have committed heinous crimes, murder, including child murder, child rape, maybe were convicted at 35 years old, 40 years old, become 50 years old, could be basically exonerated of their crimes and...
Not exonerated, sir, but would be eligible for parole after only serving 15 years. That's correct.
Okay, so how is that eligibility determined?
parole
Just by law.
Just by them achieving a certain age.
It is not automatic.
It's not automatic.
Automatic. They go before a parole board, right?
And there's a risk assessment.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, just to clarify. Any other comments or questions? Senator Leno.
Just to underscore, because I think that detail is sometimes overlooked. This is merely permissive, and I don't want to in any way dismiss the horrific nature of the crime that was just presented to us, of someone who could be considered. But I think we would all agree that in such cases, with this bill as law, courts are going to be very judicious in how they make use of it. They themselves are not immune from political considerations. And when we're talking about the sensitivity and the emotional response to the ugliest of crimes, I would have few doubts that the parole board or any player in the consideration of this larger population that the bill would provide for would put the public at risk. I think the purpose of the bill is to address rare circumstances that would fall into this new universe, but again, merely for consideration. And with that understanding, I'm already a co-author. I'm pleased to be so, and I would be happy to move the bill.
Okay, the bill has been moved. It's a due pass to appropriations. And I urge people to continue the conversation. Senator Stone.
Thank you again, Madam Chair. I'm still a little bit concerned that, according to my records, Charles Manson has been denied parole and actually has another parole hearing set. So if he's eligible for parole, to me, he's eligible to be released, of course, depending on what a parole board would say. I unfortunately cannot, in good conscience, support this bill. What about victims' rights? You know, victims' justice. You know, we're talking about people that have been found guilty of very serious crimes, and to say that a serial rapist or a murderer, especially a murderer of a child, does not have the capability at 50 or 60 years old to duplicate those crimes, I think is disingenuous. We need to have a deterrent to crime, and I think we need these sentences. I think that this is in conflict with the three strikes law. I think it would require a constitutional amendment to make the provisions of this bill potentially becoming a law legal. I support the California Sheriff's Association in their opposition to it. And my friends, we need a deterrent to serious crime. We're softening serious crime where someone can say, I can take a chance on getting revenge and doing a gang murder, and I can be out in 10 years because I'm of age, not because I'm no longer a danger to society based on the subjective opinions of a parole board. So I regret that I can't support the bill.
Thank you, Senator Stone. Senator Liu, would you like to close?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members. A couple of things here. This bill just does two things. It does just codifies what currently happens, but it does expand the eligibility pool for those who reach the age of 50 years and with serving 15 years of sentence. It does not mean that they grant parole. It is they are included in being just eligible for parole. As of January 31st, 2015, CDCR reports 528 hearings were held. 115 inmates were granted parole. 247 inmates were denied parole. There is a comprehensive risk assessment to each and every one of these individuals. No one wants to see someone on the streets redoing a crime. So we're just expanding the eligibility pool, just for consideration. The bill does not apply to prisoners sentenced to death or to imprisonment of life without the possibility of parole. So whatever happened to Charles Manson, I don't remember. But so I don't know whether or not he fell in one of those two categories. He's already part of the process. I don't know. But anyway, we have determined, in terms of age limit and service, that these two elements are the starting points of where rising cost of our prison system happens. And as we all know, we have put much more money into these areas as opposed to investing in our young people in schools, et cetera. So with that, I just hope that you consider supporting the bill and moving it forward.
Thank you very much. The bill has been moved. I just want to say that we are a few hundred under the court cap for this year. However, the receivership will not end until we show signs of being able to stabilize that population. Next week, the sentence enhancements will come that would load up the prison population again. And we know that the reason we're below the ordered court caps right now is because we still have 8,000 people in out-of-state prisons and private prisons at a great deal of expense to the state. So I think that we do have population issues here, which is why the three-judge panel ordered the state to begin this process at age 60. I would simply note, because I've been doing some reading on this, that long sentences do not appear to have significant deterrence. And we've heard of two cases here. One, a horrendous case that I would guess, because of the stringency of the parole boards, would be unlikely to be recommended for parole. The other, a young man who at age 23, and I've met a number of inmates like this in our prisons, can be riding in a car with someone who robbed a store with a gun. They end up 25 to life, and now they're 55 and medically in very bad shape, and they would be eligible for consideration. I think our parole board has been very, very stringent in that. So given this, I'm very supportive of this bill today. I think it's important that we codify what the three-judge panel has ordered the state to do, and it will give guidance to law enforcement, and the governor has certainly expressed support for that as well. So the bill is moving on to appropriations, and I think that I'm going to support it today and move it on. So the bill's been moved, and please read the roll.
Hancock?
Aye.
Hancock, aye. Anderson? No. Anderson, no. Leno? Lou?
Aye.
Lou, aye. McGuire? Monning? Aye. Monning, aye. Stone? No. Stone, no.
Okay, 3-2. We're holding the roll open for the absent members. Senator Stone, you have the last bill.